your latest Manchester United news. Plenty to talk about tonight. Is there a late bid coming in for Manchester United for a striker? And I say bid, I mean a loan bid, a loan offer, because we know we're not buying anybody permanently. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're of course going to give you an update on Marcus Rashford, what's going on around him. Obviously, it hasn't been the best few days for Marcus Rashford. Well, I suppose he had a great time in Belfast drinking tequila, supposedly. But ever since then, it's been all negative. So we'll give you updates on that as well. We're also going to talk about Andre Onana, and obviously his AFCON is over and done with now, and I think he's considering his international future yet again. Pellistri looks like he's moving from Man United, so we'll talk about that. We've got updates on Ahmad. We're going to talk about Jim Radcliffe and Dave Brailsford. They've been talking to the Manchester United squad as well. And we're going to talk about Omar Barada and the fact that he is basically going to be the one in charge of whether Erik Ten Hag keeps or loses his job. Whenever that may be. So plenty to get into as always, guys. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't already done so. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, on the road to 7,000 subscribers. And as always, get your thoughts into the comment section below, and we'll go through any opinions you have, or any questions or comments or whatever it might be as well. Anybody on TikTok? We're over on YouTube as well. It's where we're reading out all the comments also. But we do want to start, guys, with the centre forward issue at Manchester United, and the fact that we basically give me 1 second. Let me just turn on this light. There we go, a little bit better. So the centre forward issue at Manchester United, and basically, look, we know we are very light when it comes to centre forwards at Manchester United. It's basically only Rasmus Højlund, Anthony Martial is a fraud, and we need some reinforcements. Are we going to get it in the January transfer window? Well, it's either today or it's tomorrow, because the transfer window slams shut tomorrow evening. Now, in the past couple of hours, supposedly Manchester United have been given the opportunity to sign Hugo Ekitike from PSG. They're actively working to loan out Ekitike in the final 48 hours of the transfer window, according to Fabrizio Romano. He has been offered to Manchester United. Now, this is according to whoever this guy is. I'm not 100% sure who he is, but obviously Fabrizio Romano is getting involved in it, and he's given his take on whether Manchester United will go for him or not. Some conflicting reports then have been coming out from CM Christopher Michael, who is a sports correspondent, I think in Germany, and then we've also got Team Talk as well, which do transfer news and stuff like that. And they are saying the opposite, that Manchester United have actually rejected the chance to sign Ekitike on loan this transfer window. I've been having a look at him. To be honest, it's nothing spectacular that we're looking at here. Throughout the entirety of his professional career, he's played 87 games, scored 24 goals. The majority of them did come in 2021-2022 season, where he scored 10 goals for Reims in Ligue 1 in France. It just goes to show, I suppose, the desperate nature of Manchester United, and whether, well, I suppose I won't say the desperate nature, because by all accounts, we've turned down the opportunity to actually sign him. I don't think we're going to do any business in this transfer window. I really don't. And the fact that these kind of stories are coming out, we're used to it as Manchester United fans, aren't we? Given the fact that we're linked with everybody and their grandmother every time there's a transfer window. I would love to see another striker come in. If it was this guy, if it was whoever it may be, obviously we've been linked with 5 or 6 throughout the January transfer window. For anything, I would like to see a striker come in to take the pressure off of Rasmus Højlund. He is going to be leading the line for Manchester United for the remainder of the season as a 20-year-old. And that's a lot of pressure. It's an absolute lot of pressure. It really is. Anthony Martial is going to be out for a minimum of 10 weeks after the operation that he's getting. We know Marcus Rashford, even when he is playing well, isn't a good number 9. Are we going to go into a false 9 at times when you might play maybe Bruno with, wingers getting in behind? I don't know what way it's going to work. But the one thing I do know is there's going to be an awful lot of pressure on Marcus Rashford between now and the end of the season. Or sorry, not Marcus Rashford. Well, there is pressure on him. We'll get on to him in a moment. But Rasmus Højlund, Now, Rasmus Højlund is scoring some goals. He scored in every competition he's played in this season, which is good. And got a goal against, albeit it was Newport County on the weekend. It won't do him any harm in terms of building confidence. Scoring goals for a striker is what's important. And I do, not that I worry, but the ideal scenario for Rasmus Højlund is to come in at Manchester United and have no pressure to play. You play maybe once every 3 games, or you're maybe rotated week in, week out with another striker. You learn your craft from an experienced player. And, in a year or two, you're ready to be the main man. Not at Manchester United, not on our watch, Rasmus. You come in, you're the main man, because we don't have anybody else. And it's really difficult for a player like that. Now, look, does the young lad have the confidence to go out and do it? By the looks of it, I mean, he's always working hard. He's always looking for the ball. He's always getting into the right areas. We know he's not getting service. And we know he's missed some chances that maybe he shouldn't have missed this season. But that's all part of being a 20-year-old striker, trying to make your way in the game, is learning from your mistakes. And I think the difference with Manchester United at the moment is, given how inconsistent we've been, every mistake is criticized massively, and we can't afford to make an awful lot of mistakes because we don't create an awful lot. And that's the problem. And that's what Marcus Rashford has been criticized for this season. Rasmus Højlund is going to be, under a fine-tooth comb with it as well, because you're leading the line and you might not be scoring the amount of goals that we need. We're a team that's not full of goals. You look at players either side. Marcus Rashford is completely inconsistent, and Anthony on the far side is crap, and Garnacho is learning his way as well. He needs to learn how to, not try and shoot every time he gets on the ball. So the striking situation at Manchester United is an area that could really, really improve. But I'd like to get your thoughts. Let me know what you think on or in the comment section below. We'll go down through it. Let's see what people are saying here. We're going to get no one, says Chris. Bring me Wout Weghorst. I'd take Wout back in a heartbeat, so I would. Danny says we badly need another striker in for help for Rasmus, but it looks like we're going to do nothing, which is a shame. Rasmus is getting asked too much. We need help for him and to protect him as well. Yep, absolutely. Chris says, makes no sense that we cannot get a striker on loan. Sad days. Finn says, it's a bad sign. No business being done for Erik Ten Hag. It's like saying we're not backing you financially anymore. Could be the end of the road for Erik. It's a good point. Very good point. Niall says, I honestly think Rasmus can handle the pressure. We need to get him supply. I agree with you on that one, Niall, 100%. Now, look, we have been talking about, the lack of transfer activity for Manchester United at the moment, and there has a report has been done by Dean Jones for Give Me Sport, talking about Manchester United and the lack of activity that we have got done in this transfer window, and it makes sense. We'll have a look at it here. Manchester United hoped to make up for a quiet January by making a splash in the summer transfer market. The club's primary focus is this early part of 2024 has been on getting a club structure in place to ensure they have a set up behind the scenes that is ready to help the club return to the highest level. Now, while being very disappointed that we haven't signed anybody in the January transfer window, I can understand this tactic out of Ineos and Jim Radcliffe and Dave Brailsford and whoever else is making these decisions, that getting another striker in is not going to, in the January transfer window on loan, is not going to get Man United back challenging for a Premier League title. And there are more important issues at the moment. And rather than trying to fix it from the bottom up, what we've been doing for 10 years since Sir Alex Ferguson left, what Ineos seem to be doing is trying to fix it from the top down. And what did they do first and foremost? They appointed a CEO. Brand new CEO, Bosch, in the door, Omar Barada, in you get. Next is director of football, and whoever else that comes underneath that. Now, that may, like what Finn says in the comments there, that may mean that between now and maybe the transfer window opening in the summer, that Erik Ten Hag is one of the people who's changed and a new person brought in. And if that's the case, then we just, as fans, have to go, okay, right, we just have to get on with it. I am under no illusions that Jim Ratcliffe and the Ineos group want the best for Manchester United. They're not in this to make money by the looks of things. You know, all of the expectations that we wanted from as a fan, you know, coming from whoever took over, what we said when there was a race between Qatar and Sir Jim Ratcliffe is, you know, basically we wanted, first and foremost, a full sale. We wanted the Glazers out. When we couldn't get that, what we were saying was all we wanted was people to come in with confidence, who were good at their job and put proper people in proper areas of the football club. That seems to be the case with Jim Ratcliffe. And, you know, I think he is doing that. So I'm all for the structure at the top changing and getting the most important positions filled before we look at changing the playing staff. Because we've changed the playing staff so much over the last 10 years and it hasn't worked. So maybe, you know, this new structure that they're bringing in with, you know, a director of football, a new CEO, a sporting director, Dave Brailsford is in then, as well as a kind of, is it a technical director? I don't know. There's, you know, there's layers to this, and that's what we need. It really is. So I'm all for it. Guys, please smash a like on the video. 15 people watching, only 5 likes. Take a second, hit the thumbs up button for me if you can. Helps the channel out an awful lot, as you know. I do appreciate it. But yeah, Dave Brailsford has been speaking as well, guys, as you know, in relation to what he's been saying to the Manchester United playing staff. And Melissa Reddy for Sky Sports has been talking about this. So Dave Brailsford spoke to the team on Monday to present the Ineos plan to create an ecosystem of excellence, and explained that this could only be achieved with the full investment of players, collaboration and discipline. Okay, now, I'm all for this. I am all for this. For too long, Manchester United players have been getting away with far too much and not putting in enough effort, not putting in enough, you know, desire and hunger. And hearing these kind of stories coming out is a breath of fresh air. I don't know about you guys, but for me specifically, absolute breath of fresh air, because standards need to come back to Manchester United. And we had standards for so long, and one man, you know, with an iron fist implemented them standards. And we need it now. You know, if a manager is to come in, Erik Ten Hag, I will say, demands a high level from his players in terms of standards, in terms of doing the right thing and being professional. Now, it's up to them to go out and do it on the football pitch then as well. I think more than anything else, this word standards, you know, the word standards that we're talking about is, it has to start from the top down. And by all accounts, what we're hearing here now is that it is going to be the case. Now, as a player and as a staff members and as a squad and a manager, you all have to buy in and you all have to be pulling in the same direction. Now, we're going to get onto a player who hasn't been pulling in the same direction in a few minutes. And I don't care who you are. You know, if you're not pulling in the same direction, then it's time for you to go. Now, I will go back and say what I've said previously. I still think it's going to take a lot of time for Manchester United to cleanse this squad. It really, really is. Now, if you're looking at the structure that we're talking about with Dave Brailsford, Jim Ratcliffe, and if it's Paul Mitchell or Dan Ashworth, whoever it may be, it's up to them to identify players with the kind of mentality of Lisandro Martinez, for example, you know, that want to be at Manchester United, that will die on the pitch, you know, or that will kill on the pitch, even more importantly, but that also have got the quality to back it up, you know. And so over the next couple of years, it's up to the Ineos brand and the people that are put in place behind the scenes at Manchester United to go out and find these players like Lisandro Martinez that have got the mentality and have got the quality to go with it, to come into this Manchester United squad. It's also just as important to be able to offload the players that don't have that mentality and don't have the quality to go along with it. And our squad, certainly at the moment, is littered with them types of players. And I think that's why I go back, and I hate sounding like a broken record, but as fans, we're going to have to be patient. This is not going to be an overnight, success story where, we have one transfer window in the summer and next season we're going to be challenging for the league title. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be a 2 to 3 year plan where we can realistically start challenging for the Premier League title. Now, this may be coming at a if it's going to take 2 or 3 years for Manchester United to start challenging for the Premier League under this new structure with Jim Ratcliffe, maybe this is coming at the perfect time. Jurgen Klopp is stepping down at Liverpool. Is there going to be a bit of a downturn there? That remains to be seen. Pep Guardiola has got 18 months left on his contract at Man City. When he goes, they are going to have a downturn. And they've got 115 charges on top of them to be worried about. This could be the ideal scenario for Manchester United and the ideal moment to get it right. We haven't got it right for far too long. And if we can get it right over the next 18 months, there is probably a real opportunity there now to take advantage of, maybe City and Liverpool having a downturn. Now, I mean, you're still going to have Arsenal there. You would expect Chelsea to improve. Are Villa going to continue to be, the team that they have under Unai Emery and improve on what they've got? So it's not a foregone conclusion that, when Pep leaves and Klopp goes as well, United are going to win the league. Nonsense. We still have a long way to go. But it's a great opportunity over the next 18 months for United to go, all right, if there was a moment for us to really have a go and improve this, now is the time. And I think if we do let it slip in over the next 18 months, it'll be a massive shame. But let's see what you guys think in the comment section below. Get your comments in as always, guys. Let's see. Danny says the summer does sound good. A lot to look forward to as United fans. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a busy summer, in fairness. Aaron says we need that pick from back in the day from Sir Alex office to show these players what a team looks like. Chris says, I am tired of words. Actions needs to start happening. Yeah, I agree with you, Chris, 100%. But now is not the time to get frustrated. Get frustrated in 12 months' time. Because there's so much is changing at the club at the moment. I completely agree. Hurts only words, as Ronan Keaton would have said. But we're in that transition phase now where I think we're really going to start seeing some standards behind the scenes at Manchester United. And like I said, it's going to take time for them standards to filter down into the squad. Danny says, I'm all for that as well. Things need to change. But saying that Rashford is getting away with murder at the club, he's setting such a bad example for the young players. Finn says, Eric Ten Hag demands high levels, but it looks like some players don't fear, respect him enough to toe the line. Luke says, Palestri to Granada on a loan is done. We'll talk about that in a moment. Oshin says, summer 6 months away. Those 6 months could be very painful. They could. They absolutely could. I agree with you. Now, moving it on and talking about Marcus Rashford, as he was mentioned there, and we'll move it on to this. A lot of reports coming out today, and again, like I said, put your hand up with a pinch of salt and take what you want out of it. It's understood that some of Marcus Rashford's Manchester United teammates are disappointed with his actions after he was pictured enjoying a boozy 2-day trip to Belfast. This came 2 months after a member of Ten Hag's staff voiced concerns about Marcus Rashford, with one source claiming that he was distant and responded poorly to instructions on the pitch. It goes on then as well. Supposedly, PSG are plotting a move for Marcus Rashford in the summer. Now, I spoke about it last night. I think Marcus Rashford to PSG, I think it's probably the most likely of destinations if he is to leave. Now, there's been an awful lot of things said over the past few days about suspend him, throw him out of the club, so on and so forth. We don't know what's going on in the background, okay? You don't know what's going on. And we said this at the time with Jadon Sancho, okay? With the initial incidents with Jadon Sancho where he had to leave and he was gone off to Holland for 6 months and so on and so forth. We said initially, you don't know what's going on in the background. And you have to take all of this with a pinch of salt. If You know, we know Marcus Rashford, for example, split up with his missus only a few months ago, and he's 26 years of age. We've all been there, you know. Um, it can be difficult, and when you're in the spotlight and you're being asked to perform on a weekly basis, then as well, and you're not going through the best run of form, you know, things like this can happen. I have no problem with a player going out and having a drink. No problem. Absolutely no problem. At any level of football, you cannot be on it all the time. You know, and I don't mean on it, I mean on the booze. I mean, you can't be on your game all the time. It can't all be about football, 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 football. You need to have downtime. You need to go out for a drink with your friends. You need to be able to socialize a little bit. Now, I understand that these guys are role models and they're in the public eye. The one issue I have with Marcus Rashford here is pick your fucking moments, man. Pick your moments. You know, we had a week off last week. Why didn't you go to Belfast last week when we didn't have a game? No problem. Go out and enjoy yourself, you know, when we've got some downtime. He's picked some bad moments. You know, obviously this one, a couple of months back when we lost to Man City, he was seen out that night as well. It was his birthday or so on and so forth. And, you know, it's just poor timing. Now, I don't think Marcus Rashford is unprofessional. He made a mistake over the last few days, but is anybody watching or anybody that's, you know, has ever been alive not made a mistake? You know, selling Marcus Rashford and banishing him, you know, to the under 21s or whatever it may be is not the solution, in my opinion. I think Jadon Sancho, I get the impression, again, I'm not privy to what's going on in the background, but I get the impression Sancho, in comparison to Marcus Rashford, Sancho had an awful lot of string. Ten Hag gave him an awful lot of string to try and get something out of him. There was issues with Jadon Sancho at previous clubs as well, a lack of professionalism, so on and so forth. And there's people bringing up about Marcus Rashford last year being late for the Wolves, for a meeting before the Wolves game. I don't think was a massive issue. He was a couple of minutes late because he overslept, whatever it was. He wasn't out on the fucking piss before the Wolves game last year. So I think that was an isolated incident. And I think this is probably an isolated incident as well. And I think the Man City one was just bad timing. And I'm sure he had that night out planned for, you know, a few weeks before because it was his birthday or so on and so forth. And I think the difference between Rashford and Jadon Sancho is that Jadon Sancho got an awful lot of opportunities under Ten Hag. He got 3 months off. Go away, get your head straight, you know, come back. We'll still be here. We'll put our arm around you. No problem. He does that. And he still doesn't perform. He still lets the manager down. The manager was asked an honest question in a press conference. Why wasn't he in the squad? His training wasn't up to standard this week. And then he went back at the manager publicly. You don't do that. Now, I think what we'll probably get from Marcus Rashford between now and Thursday night is a public apology, probably. You'll probably get, you know, the statement coming out saying, you know, look, I love the club, you know, I love the club, man, and all that. And that's okay. I've no problem with that. As poor as Marcus Rashford has been this season, we need him for the next 6 months. So if you sell him in the summer, okay, you sell him in the summer. I would sell him in the summer if we could get, you know, if there was an offer of 80 to 90 million for Marcus Rashford in the summer, I would take it. I would take it. And I think while I understand that he showed complete lack of professionalism, and he did make a mistake, and I do understand, look, he's a role model. He has to do better. And if something like this was to happen again for a second time, then I would be saying, okay, right, you know, maybe it's time for you to take a step away from the first team squad for a while and maybe do a Jadon Sancho on it. And I'm not saying relegate him to the reserves or the under 18s or anything like that. But between now and the end of the season, we're going to need Marcus Rashford. And I think it's damage limitation. And if you're Eric Ten Hag, who's fighting for his job as well, you would have to say, banishing Marcus Rashford to the reserves is not going to do your chances of retaining your job any good, really. But let me see what What do you guys think here? Let's see. Danny says Marcus Rashford thinks he's bigger than the club, so he thinks he can do whatever he likes when he likes. The money and the game has gone to his head. He's highly overrated and should be sold. He's not good enough. Niall says we've heard the same about Sancho, that senior players were unhappy with him. I wonder, has Sancho got into Rashford's head? Maybe he has. Maybe he has, Niall. And if that is the case, then Marcus Rashford is too soft to be playing for the club anyway, and it's time to move him on. But if it's not, and it's just an isolated incident, it needs to be managed correctly in the background. It really does. Oshin says, no problem with a guy letting his hair down. We've all done it, but we've all turned up for work the next day. That's true. But there has been occasions where you might ring in sick the following day. I done it when I was a young lad, as an apprentice. You might go out on the Sunday night after playing a soccer match and you go, I'm not going in the morning. You ring in sick, Now, again, I'm not held to the same standards that Marcus Rashford is, but I can understand, Ryan says Rashford is the poster boy who's always been capable, but personal issues knock him back. I hate to say it, but it's unlikely to ever change. I agree with you, Ryan, and we mentioned it. I think I mentioned it this morning on the morning news show that Marcus Rashford is a confidence player. He thrives off of confidence. And if he doesn't have it, he is atrocious. His body language is all off. But if he can find a couple of goals, that can instantly change for him, and we will need that in the second half of the season. We really will. But again, like I said, he's a confidence player. Can he find that confidence? It looks like he's struggling to find it. That's what I would say. Oshin says, I disagree. These guys are held to high standards, valuable assets, everything on a silver platter, etc. Rashford this year hasn't done the business to afford the leniency. Yes, I understand. I understand what you're saying, Oshin. I really do. I really do. And, I mentioned it this morning as well, that if Marcus Rashford had done this time last year, he would have got a pass. Instantly got a pass, because he's in the richest vein of form that he's ever been in. So I understand why there is criticism coming for him. If you're doing it on the pitch, you'll get away with a couple of things like this. But I still think between now and the summer, we need to use Marcus Rashford. It's been dealt with internally. He's got 2 weeks. He's got a 2-week fine, which is 650 grand, which is fucking crazy when you think about it. And I think that's the reason why I think we can now move on from it. I think United have actually probably dealt with it perfectly, to be honest. They haven't made a big deal about it. Eric Ten Haag, when asked, said, I'm dealing with it internally. United put out a statement. We're probably going to get one from Rashford in the next day or two. He's been fined internally. It's over with now. Okay, he made a mistake. If he does it again, right, then we need to look at long-term ramifications for him. But he's made a mistake. Let's move on, And again, I understand, he hasn't been doing it on the pitch. Roy Keane was bailed out of jail by Alex Ferguson. Ferguson actually went to the police station and bailed him out, picked him up, collected him, after he got arrested, after we won a game. But we were cleaning up at that stage. We were winning every game. We were winning every trophy. So you get a pass when you're doing things like that. Unfortunately, we're not doing that at the moment, so Rashford is not going to get that pass. 90 mil, Luis Diaz was 40 million, says Morgan. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Oshin says, again, I disagree. No club is ever paying 90 mil for Rashford. He's not a 90 mil baller. Well, my point there, Oshin, is that if people at a club are good enough to get 75 million for Rasmus Højlund, and the people that we're now putting in place in our club between now and the summer, I think we could get 80 to 90 million for Marcus Rashford. I really do. He's a massive name. He will sell jerseys. He's the poster boy for somebody like a PSG who are going to lose Mbappe in the summer. But I think it is probably going to be a PSG. I think he needs to get out of England if he is to leave. Take a lot of the pressure off him. Would someone like Barcelona come in for him? I don't know. But I think we could get 80 million for him, 80, 90 million. I really do. Finn says, Rashford needs to take a look in the mirror. Being a United lad, how is he not ripping up trees with effort for the badge? Whatever about playing dung, he could still put a shift, but don't look bothered. Yeah, I agree. DJ says, it's amazing how this group of players are always in the news for something negative. Well, that's just Manchester United. It really is. Niall says, 90 million maybe to a Saudi club, but no European club is going to pay it. Chris says, if he's having personal issues at home, then we need to help. But come on, man, I agree. Isolated incident, but a big incident anyway. Yes, I agree. Look, take Dele Alli, for example. You know, he got slated by opposition fans, by his own fans, by the media for years. He sits down and does one interview with Gary Neville. The truth comes out and we go, fuck. You know what I mean? We don't know what's going on with people in their lives. These people are in the spotlight. They've got lives as well, you know, and things don't go right. He's a 26-year-old who broke up with his missus as well. He might just be a little bit heartbroken. It could just be as simple as that. It really could, you know. Chris says, I'm worried about hearing about bad people around him. Diogo Targoni is in. That's a fucking liar. That sheep's a liar. Give over you now. Don't start. Finn says, English players always go for top dollar. 90 million is possible. Mark says, is your wife still single? You're sitting in the same fucking room. I guarantee you the two of you are sitting in the same room drinking tea over there in Seville Lawns, i.e. wankers. Barcelona will not have the money for him, says Chris. That is a good point. That is a good point. But anyway, guys, I want to move it on, and we're going to talk a little bit about you know, other snippets of stories coming out in relation to the last few days. Obviously, a little one to talk about is Andre Onana and the fact that he is now on his way back. I don't know if he gets a break after the AFCON. He didn't fucking play too many games over there. So maybe he comes straight back to Manchester United. But he is considering his future in terms of international football after returning from Cameroon's failed African Cup of Nations campaign. Look, I think he's done and dusted with international football now. I would say we've seen him retire once already before he came to Manchester United. He signs for United. He comes out of retirement. Yeah, look, I mean, I've enough of hearing about this nonsense now about, you know, Andre Onana and fucking Cameroon. You know, enough of that nonsense. Finish up with him, get back to United, put your head down, work hard, and start putting in some good performances and move on from this debacle, because it's not helpful for anybody. We know he hasn't had the greatest start to his Manchester United career, so he's going to need to, you know, get his feet under the table, work hard, put his head down, and start putting in some good performances. Because he's probably another player that has got 18 months. You know, we've heard over the past couple of weeks since Jim Ratcliffe and all came in that, you know, Omar Barada and Dave Brailsford and these types of men are advocates for 2 years. You've got 2 years to perform. And if you don't perform within 2 years, it's time to move you on. And that's, you know, and that should be the case. You know, so Andre Onana has got 18 months. And let's hope he can have a good 6 months between now and the end of the season, because we're going to need it. We really, really are going to need it. But yeah, look, I'm under no illusions. He's going to come back. He's going to come straight into the Manchester United lineup, and we'll go from there. Niall says Onana played one game. Think he needs to be rested for the rest of the season. The Onana Samuel Eto'o saga is getting annoying. Oshin says Onana is a soap opera on his own. Danny says Onana is highly overrated and not good enough to be the number one at United. David De Gea is a much better goalkeeper. Onana couldn't lace De Gea's boots, no longer replace him. Well, the one thing I would say, Danny, is that by the sounds of things, you've got a bit of a sharp memory there. David De Gea had a fucking atrocious second half of the season last year with the amount of mistakes he made. You know, so yeah, I don't think David De Gea is the solution either. I think Andre Onana has the personality and the confidence to play for Manchester United. He just needs to back it up with results. And I go back to what I've said. You don't get to a Champions League final with Inter Milan, basically a second-tier European side now. You do not get to a European Cup final as their goalkeeper if you're not a top-quality goalkeeper. and he got to a semi-final of a European Cup with Ajax. So there is a good goalkeeper in there. He just hasn't had a good start. Now, if this time next year we're talking about the same issues, then I will go, okay, great, time to move him on. But as of now, he needs time. He needs time. Finn says the keeper Onana was dropped for is playing in the second tier in France. I think that could just be, I think a lot of that is politics there with Cameroon as well. The fact that he didn't go to the AFCON late, he stayed to play in the Spurs game. They probably weren't too happy about that either. And it was a bit of retribution, I would say. Niall says you'd have to wonder why David De Gea still hasn't got a club. My point exactly. My point exactly. Now, is he probably looking for massive money? Maybe. Yeah, I just think if David De Gea if David De Gea is settling for maybe anywhere between 150 and 200 grand a week, he has a club already by now, you know. But maybe clubs just don't fancy him. How do you like your coffee? Anyway, Irish only, drink tea, says Chris. Kyle says, who else needs clearing out, do you think, mate? Well, we done our keep and sell last night, and I think I had 14 players that I would potentially move on. I'd keep all three goalkeepers. I'd move on Lindelof. I'd move on Maguire. I'd move on Varane if he didn't lower his wages. I'd move on Delors. I'd move on McTominay. I'd move on Anthony, Sancho, Martial, Christian Eriksen. And then you've got a couple like Donny van de Beek and so on, Alvaro Fernandez, these types of players. So, yeah, I came up with about 14 players last night that I would potentially move on. Now, in no way, shape, or form are you going to move on 13 players in one transfer window. It's just not viable because you won't get 13 players signed. It's as simple as that. But I do think that given the, I suppose, given the, to quote Ralph Rangnick again, open heart surgery that Manchester United probably still do need. I think it's, I don't think it's open heart surgery now. I think it's probably a double or triple bypass at this stage. But yeah, I mean, we need to get very, very good, very fast in the transfer market because we need to start getting rid of players and getting good ones in more than anything else. Moving it on then, guys, talking about a player that's potentially leaving. It's in relation to Pellistri. Granada will try to sign him on a permanent transfer this summer. It looks like the loan deal is pretty much done and dusted. I haven't seen any breaking news since we came live on whether anything like that has been confirmed. We have. Apologies. Fabrizio Romano, 20 minutes ago, has said that Facundo Pellistri to Granada on loan is a done deal. Here we go. So there we go. And we did hear then, obviously, as well, like I said, that they will try and make it a permanent transfer in the summer. Now, look, a lot depends on how he gets on in the summer. You know, the performance levels he puts in. Again, I go back to what I've said. He would probably be one of the players I would move on. Now, I got somebody in the comments today saying it's a disgrace that Manchester United are allowing the likes of Rashford to continue to play after what he's done. And, you know, we're moving on a load of academy players. And while I can understand the frustration there, players have to be good enough. They just have to be good enough. And if you're not good enough, sorry. Nottingham Forest were on the break there against Arsenal. They could have been in one-on-one and your man messed up the pass. If you are not good enough as an academy graduate to get into the first team, it's time to go, I'm afraid. It's time to go. Ten Hag said it, only a couple of weeks he was asked into his reign as United manager. He was asked about, the academy prospects and players coming through and the tradition that Manchester United have. And he said, yeah, brilliant. He said, if the only way they're going to get into the team is if they're good enough or better, if they're as good or better than the players that are currently there. Is Pellistri better than Garnacho and Rashford? No. Is he better than Anthony? Probably. But does that mean he's going to hold down a place in the starting 11? I mean, are we talking about a player who is happy to be a rotation player, probably not given his age and what he wants to do within his career. I think it would probably now look. I mean, he could go to Granada for the remainder of this season and completely tear it up. But I doubt it. I doubt it. In my opinion. Another, I suppose, winger I do want to talk about in relation to a potential move, and it's in relation to Ahmad. Now, reports were suggesting that Ahmad was interested in rejoining Sunderland on loan until the end of the season. Now, look, he hasn't featured an awful lot for Manchester United this season. He's been injured for the majority of it, but he is coming back from that injury now. And with the inconsistencies we do have on the wings, I think it is a big opportunity for him to get some good game time between now and the end of the season. Now, he has rubbished reports. Fabrizio Romano has come out and said it. He says Ahmad has not asked to leave Manchester United. The player is happy to stay at the club. The player is happy to stay and the club want him to be part of the squad. Erik Ten Haag has been clear with Ahmad on his role for present and future. And I'm happy to hear this as well, because I think he is a player that, went on loan last season, done really, really well with Sunderland. And let's see, can he make that next step? Can he make that next step to play in the Premier League and put in consistent good performances for Manchester United? And if he can, then he will have a future at the club. And we need depth in our squad. Okay. Even if we go out in the summer and sign a winger and maybe sell Anthony and maybe bring in another right winger or whatever the case may be, you still need to have depth in your squad. You need to have squad players. You need to be able to rotate. And they need to be as good as the players that are starting week in, week out. You look at Man City, for example. Perfect example. The players coming off the bench sometimes are better than the players coming on or coming off the pitch. So it's going to be a very interesting summer transfer window. We're going to do nothing between now and when the window closes tomorrow. It is closing tomorrow, isn't it? Am I right in saying that? Let me just double check. When does the January transfer window close? This Thursday. Is that right? Okay, it is. It's Thursday. I do apologize. So it's Thursday at 11 p.m. So we've got just over 2 days to go between now and the end of the transfer window. Look, United are not going to do anything between now and the end of the window. I'm pretty certain of it. If we do, I'll be really happy. But I think we're just going to have to make do with what we've got so far and really, really have a go at that summer transfer window. I can understand what Ineos are doing. Like we said previously, getting the structure in place first at the top. Let's get this right and let it all just trickle down, and I think that's probably the best way of doing it. Getting in a striker on loan is not going to fix all of Manchester United's problems, but prioritizing a new CEO, a new director of football is going to have a much bigger impact long term than, signing Choupo-Moting on loan for 5.5 months. You know what I mean? Finally, guys, I just want to talk a little bit about Omar Barada and Erik Ten Hag. James Ducker today in the Telegraph has been saying that Omar Barada and Manchester United's incoming director of football will ultimately be the ones to determine the fate of Erik Ten Hag. It goes on to say that Ineos wanted Omar Barada in place first so he could have some valuable input into the choice of director of football, given their strong belief that the two men and the manager must share a vision and work as a coherent whole. I'm all for this. Now, it all depends on what Erik Ten Hag's ideas are, if he's happy to relinquish some of the power that he's got, because we know he's got an awful lot of it at the moment in terms of signings. I fear that Erik Ten Hag was hired 18 months too early as Manchester United manager. I think if Ineos were coming in 18 months ago and, Erik Ten Hag was available off of the back of what he done at Ajax, I think he is 100% the manager that they go for. But results are paramount, and results and performances haven't been great. I want Erik Ten Hag to be given at least another 12 months, and see what he can do. I think he can flourish under the new structure that Ineos are bringing in. I've said it on multiple occasions, but he is basically, at the moment, he is an interim manager. He is like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was when he took over initially at Manchester United. You know, if I can go on a massive run here, they might give me the job on a permanent deal, on a permanent basis. And I think it's very similar to what Erik Ten Hag is dealing with at the moment at Manchester United, and with the likes of Sir Jim Ratcliffe and all coming in. Will he be lucky enough? That's down to the performances. It's down to performance, and it's down to results. I think minimum is getting into the top six. Minimum is getting into the top six, and try and have a right go at the FA Cup. I think I've said it before. I'll say it again. I still think top four is too far out of our reach, unless we go on an unbelievable run. But I do think it's probably going to be too far out of our reach. Kyle says, have to say I agree with you. Nice clear out over the next while to boost the funds. And with the backing of Ineos, we can get some good quality players for good price tag also. Danny says, Pellistri is a good young player, and it's probably best for him to move on. He also says, Ahmad is another good young player that we need to keep. He could be a big star in the future if he gets into the team. Let's hope he gets the chance to prove it. Finn says, United seem to hold on to academy players too long before deciding they're not up to it and selling for poor money. I agree. When you look at, what Man City have been doing, they've been selling academy players that have played once or twice in the first team for 20, 25 million. We had Dean Henderson, who was an England international, and we could barely get that for him. So crazy stuff. Niall says, can't see much happening when we're playing Thursday. Danny says, I'm all for that, but something tells me Erik Ten Hag's time is coming to an end. As soon as a good manager comes available, he will come in and replace him. Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants his own manager. I want Erik Ten Hag to be the Manchester United manager for another 12 months, but I am also kind of coming to the realization, and I'm accepting it a little bit more, that maybe we aren't going to see Erik Ten Hag as the manager long term at Manchester United. And if that's the case, Jim Ratcliffe has got a huge decision to make. Huge decision to make. Getting rid of Erik Ten Hag for Graham Potter will instantly turn the fan base against him. Instantly. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. It will instantly turn the fan base against him. But getting rid of Erik Ten Hag for a Thomas Tuchel, I think, would be a lot easier for the fan base to swallow and go, this guy's won a European Cup. He got a raw deal at Chelsea, and even Chelsea fans are now still saying we should have never got rid of Tuchel. He's managed in the league before. So big decisions are coming up for Ineos and for Jim Ratcliffe, and put on your seatbelt, buckle up, because we're going to be here for it all. And I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, please do smash a like on the video, guys, if you haven't done so already. As well, make sure you're getting in your match build-up videos to me as well. If you want to be included in our match build-up video for Thursday night, can you get them to me before tomorrow evening, please? Just take out your phone, put it in landscape mode, record yourself for 60 seconds, giving me your match preview, starting 11, score predictions, all that good stuff. I'll put them all together and we'll upload it as our match build-up. It's a chance for you, the viewer, to be involved in the content that we create here as well. So I really hope we can start getting more and more videos. We're getting maybe 3 or 4 videos so far per game. If I could get maybe 7 or 8, it would be brilliant. It'd make a nice longer video out of it. So yeah, if it's something you are interested in, please do get your videos sent to me. Send them to me. You can either DM them to me on Instagram, if at all possible. Please do send them to me by email so I can download them. UnitedCommunityChannel@outlook.com. You'll find the contacts on my homepage on TikTok, and you'll find them on the homepage of the YouTube channel as well. You'll find the email address there. But it's easy. United Community Channel, the name of the actual channel, at outlook.com. Send me your 60-second clips for the Wolves game on Thursday night, and we'll put them all together and upload them. But guys, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Smash a like on the video. I'll be back tomorrow morning with the morning news as usual at 10 o'clock. Keep an eye out for it. Turn on the bell notification as well. If you're new to the channel, hit that bell notification because you'll get notified straight away as soon as we upload any new content, and you won't miss out on it as well. Smash a like on the video. Comment as well. The comments are starting to improve as well under the recordings that I'm putting up. Obviously, you comment on the live streams brilliantly, but if you're watching any of the morning news shows or the match previews, any of the videos that are pre-recorded, the comments are starting to get more and more underneath, and we're starting to have some good conversations in them as well. So make sure you're commenting on the videos as well. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll chat to you in the morning. Have a great evening. Take care. Come on, United, and all that good stuff. Good luck.